A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there all over the planet. Welcome to the channel Twin Flame Union. This is the part 3 of the inspiring divine union, the love story of Shiva and Parvati, which took place after Shiva and Sati's tragic love story. Shiv and Shakti union is very inspiring for those who are experiencing the twin flame journey, because not only Parvati had made an offer to Shiva, but he had also turned it down. Even though Sati was reborn as Parvati, but Shiva simply could not recognize her in her new birth. His rejection hurt Parvati, but she decided to do the inner work as she was determined to bring Shiva back from oblivion, and only deep practice or focused attention could do that. As a twin flamer, one should be aware about all divine couples who were present on earth, not only to live through the journey, but also to inspire others to let go of the attachment towards the result of your intention while focusing on your personal growth. So by now you already know that what happened at the yajna, what happened to Sati. First, Sati ordered Agni Dev, who is the god of fire, to create the fire for her in which she would burn herself. He did not do so. Obviously, he won't do so because she's Adi Shakti. She's the supreme feminine being. So then with her own power, she burned herself in front of all the gods. Shiva was really angry at this and he tore out some hair of his in his anger, and with that hair he created Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali. Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali then went to the yajna and they destroyed not only the yajna but they also cut or severed Daksha Prajapati's head. So they took off his head, and this happened because Daksha Prajapati was so arrogant and so angry. Even when he saw his daughter was burning into the flames, even at that time he was still arrogant. He had become a person who thought that he is always right. Even if it means that the daughter is dying, she's dead. Even if at the cost of that. So arrogance is one of the biggest problems in the ascension journey. The reason why narcissistic people have to suffer so much, and especially if it's a divine masculine who is a narcissistic personality disorder person, it could be borderline, it could be totally NPD. They suffer a lot because they are so arrogant, because they think they are so right. It's only the divine feminine that can bring them back to their realizations. But they cannot do it, the divine feminines cannot do it until and unless the divine feminines are in chaser energies. They are begging for attention, they are begging for help from other people as well. They are always looking for validation and affection and attention. Till the time all of these things remain within the divine feminine, she will not be able to, at any cost, get into union energies. Because when she becomes a super empath, then only she totally ignores the narc. She cuts off with them energetically and she learns to live her own life. Otherwise, most of the people are only concerned about what is the divine masculine eating, what is he doing, where is he sleeping, who is he talking to, where is he going. And I am addressing this here because most people on this channel resonate with the fact, or resonate with the thought, if not fact, that they could be in the final stages of the twin flame journey. Final stages of the twin flame journey has most important stage, which is the surrender stage. And surrender means not only surrender to the continuous thoughts of the divine masculine, but also surrender to everything else, all worries, all thoughts, all fears. You got to surrender them to the feet of Source. When Source is the master and when master is with you, and it is the Guru, the master, the one who initiates us to Source. He or she, if it's a female guru you have, then female, then male, if the male guru is there. He or she, they are actually devoid of genders. They no longer function in the gender equation on planet Earth. So they are the ones who connect you to the source. And then you need to surrender to the feet of your guru first. You need to ask for help. And you need to be in that pain. You need to feel that pain. Where you have nowhere to go. The only place you can go to is the feet of your masters. That's it. So Shiva from his hair stands create Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali. Eventually it is the end of Daksh Prajapati. He is not yet dead. His head is removed from his body. He has now a headless body. And with the headless body, he then, at that point in time, he realized that he was so arrogant. He thought that he's the master of the world. He's owner of planet Earth and he can do whatever he wants. He didn't care about anybody else's feelings, anybody else's pain. He just thought about his own pride, his own social image. He thought that Shiva and Sati are ruining his social image. They are not under his control. So that is what a lot of people with NPD would also want to do. They get so blinded with their pride and arrogance. They don't want to listen to anyone. They don't want to listen to a teacher. They don't want to listen to a master. They don't want to listen to anyone who could be a genuine well-wisher, who could actually put them back into the path. And by doing this, they delay their journey a lot. They delay their journey when they don't listen to their guru, their own master. Even if master is telling you that have faith in yourself, don't do this or don't do that, and they don't listen, they say, oh, how can I do it? It's not possible. They don't think or they don't believe that if my master is telling me to do it, my master is showing faith in me, then I can definitely do it. Some of those forefathers brought some rational ideas to the world. They brought a lot of change to the world. They would not act like how the others were acting. If they were men, they would love their daughters equally in the times when people don't, normally give that much importance to the girl child. Or they would open up a school, or they would work very hard, or they would not take any bribes. They would not be materialistic. They would rather live a simple life, but not live a materialistic life. They would follow the spiritualistic path, or they would follow the truthful path, despite how people mocked them, how people ill-treated them or disrespected them. They lived through all of that so that the coming generation, someone who has the seed of ascension could watch them, to look at them and learn on their own. Now when Parvati was reborn, or Sati was reborn as Parvati, Shakti was reborn as Parvati, she always had a special feeling for Shiva. Even as a child, even as a girl, she would constantly pray to Shiva. She was enamored by Shiva. She was in love with Shiva. She could feel him everywhere. She would dream about him and his name, his thoughts. So she wanted to be with Shiva, basically. And then she approached God of Kama. God of Kama is not exactly like Cupid in the Western culture, but he's the god of love, of desire, of pleasure. And in the Indian Vedic stories, Purana stories, he was the god of erotic love. So she approaches him. He's also known as Kamdev. But something else happened. Kamdev actually shoots an arrow into Shiva's heart to arouse him, and she thought that it will definitely work because it always works. But Shiva woke up and he was so angry. He felt the passion in his body, but he was like, why did someone bring me out of meditation? And shockingly, he opened his third eye and Kama was gone. Devta was gone. Then finally Shiva closed all his eyes, third eye included, and then again went inward. Now Parvati was like, oh God, my plan has failed. What should I do? Though Parvati goes through all of these difficult situations, but she does approach Shiva, and Shiva clearly tells her, which I have already narrated, he tells her to go away. He tells her that it's no use. He gives her all the rebuttals because he had all the fears. He has lived through the fears. He has seen how Sati, despite being a princess, she was separated away from him. So he tells her all of those things, that look, don't marry me, don't be after me. I live with snakes. I live with animals. You'll see my snakes and you'll get scared. I consume cannabis. I consume marijuana. And I will not leave it for anyone. Then he tells her that you're a rich princess. Look at the amount of number of clothes you have. You have all types of clothes and jewelries and embellishments and accessories and nice luxurious life. You have all sorts of luxuries, and I have nothing. You live in you sleep on the softest beds. I sleep on the floor. You'll not be happy with me. I have nothing to give to you. Why don't you look for a man, a rich man or a wealthy man or someone else? And there's a beautiful song also. It's a local folklore song where Shiva gives her all of these rebuttals. I'm sure in India many people must have heard it. But he gives her all these rebuttals, including his hair, because imagine Daksha Prajapati had made fun of his hair as well. That look at this man. He has all these dreadlocks. He has all these strange long hair till the waist. Who does that, And he remembers that still. He remembers the pain that my appearance was a big problem for Daksh Prajapati, and that led to our separation. My separation with Sati had a lot to do with my appearance, the way I am, the way I live. So he gives all the warnings to Parvati that look, I'm not a good looking person. I live like this. I have these long dreadlocks. I have a snake around my neck, and I have many other snakes too. I live with cows and bulls and animals. I have nothing, no luxuries whatsoever. So please, you find someone else and you settle off with that person. Parvati feels very sad. She feels very bad after getting rejected. None of her plans work. And of course it doesn't work because she's in the chaser energy. She even tells him that I am Sati, I am Shakti reborn as Parvati. But because she's in her chaser energies, that's a primary reason why she's not in her divine feminine energies. Why? Because Shakti, be it Ram, be it Sita, as I've said before also, just said it some time back, everyone has to go through the ascension journey. They have to awaken themselves. This is the rule of planet Earth. You could be anyone. But once you're born here, your memory would be taken away. And to understand this better, you can go check out my video on star seed twin flames, because according to what I feel, maximum twin flame couples are star seeds. And why, this happens, why this memory is taken away, all of that is explained in the video. It's on the channel called Sunamoon Vlogs, the Sunamoon Vlogs, SUNAMOON. And all gods and goddesses, all deities, they're all star seeds. And so many humans have their DNA, especially in the current time, because it's time for ascension. So all the people who are going to be helping in the ascension journey have to have starseed DNA in them. And that's what makes it even more interesting and amazing, because when you start developing your inner energies, when you start focusing on your inner work, when you practice focused attention every day, especially the feminines, I repeat, when you practice focused attention every day, you'll start healing all of those parts in you, the masculine, toxic masculinity, or the absent masculinity, or the masculine who has mental disorder, some kind of mental disorder that makes them want to dominate, and they are full of pride, and they're full of vanity, and they're full of themselves. They don't want to listen to anyone. Only you can heal all of that with your dedication, devotion, and focused attention. And Parvati inspires all of you to do that. We don't have to go on for 1,000 years. That's the beautiful part, because the time that you're born in this time, they say, even my masters have told me that this is such a time that if you practice focused attention now, if you do the ascension work now, you will definitely get results faster. So Parvati did this meditation for many years. She stood on hot coals, she stood on one leg, she stood in snow, she did many things, many kind of tapasyas. She brings out the inner heat, she brings out her inner powers, so much so that she completely ascends. She comes in her full power. She's no longer chasing, she's no longer waiting, she's no longer expecting, she's no longer thinking anything. Her divine mission was to assist the masculine in such a way that the earth, the planet earth, comes back to its usual, comes back to its natural state, earth gets healed. That was her mission, and she focuses on that. And she doesn't get Shiva's love or affection or attention because she's bodily beautiful. Because she was bodily beautiful even when she approached him, even when she went up to him, even when she made the offer to him. He rejected her because he didn't care about the bodily beauty. He only cared about the inner light. The inner light was blocked in Parvati too. It was not shining, it was not seen, and that's the reason why in one of the stages of the twin flame journey, one of the final stages of the twin flame journey, one of the stages before harmonization is called glow. So when we talk about glow, it's not some kind of beauty glow, some kind of glow that you get from makeup, or some type of glow that you get from wearing something, very expensive or fancy, or you sit under the light. That glow is a glow of your inner joy, inner beauty. When you get detached from the pains, you get detached from the pain body, you get detached from the worries of the life, the rigmaroles of life, the challenges of life. When you are no longer frustrated and angry and mad, when you are not constantly projecting your anger on others, you are not reacting. Anyone can teach it to you, and the biggest way to learn it is via mission work. The reason why mission work is given to you guys is because we are not born in golden age. We are not born in Treta. We are in Dwapar, of course, but it is also, right now it is ascending Dwapar. So, we are somewhere 20 years into Dwapar right now. And this particular time frame has specially been cut out. I don't know why they've done it, what is the reason, but it has specially been cut out for planet Earth. This will be leading us to 1000 years of golden age. So they did penance for thousands of years because the lifespans were very long. For even humans, the lifespans were very long. And in their time, in the golden ages, people do nothing but this. They're born and they get into ascension. They are born and they get into ascension. They don't care about anything. They're already very wise. They are full of wisdom. They wake up. They are born in families where the parents have done ascension work, or they are raised because not everyone is going to be a biological child. This is how people who have ascended, they don't really get attached only with the biological child. And let me tell you, if you are a divine feminine, your mission either would be to take care of your special children, or it would be to take care of your already born children. But with them or through them, you are going to learn to create the nurturing element, the mother element for everyone else. Other people's children, even animals' children, you'll see the mother element through them as well. So that attachment with I, me, myself, my child, my firstborn, my secondborn, I give birth to this child, so I will love my child only. A lot of divine feminines don't grow because they're so attached to their own children. They just don't grow in the journey, and they are very upset, and then they feel, I do get very attracted towards doing something for children, or doing something for other people, or for humankind, or for some other, animal kingdom, but I can't do it because, I have my children, I have to feed them, Sometimes I have met females who have boys and girls who have grown up. They are 18, 19, 20. They are in their mid-20s. But the mother just doesn't let go. She wants to cook for them. She wants to take out their clothes. They are the ones who turn their children into narcissistic people. Because they give way too much love. They don't want their children to be independent. They make all the decisions for them. They want to decide what is the education they'll do. Even if they do anything extracurricular, it's because they have decided it to be like that. They have extreme amount of control in the lives of their children. So the children turn narcissistic. And they don't want to listen to anyone. They don't want to listen to anyone. They always think they're right because they're always pampered, they're always taken care of, they're always smothered with love. So these divine feminines, in fact, it's crazy because I've met some of them. They are married, they have children, and they also told me about a certain someone who they really love, who they really feel for, but they just can't seem to, be with that person because it's completely impossible. They have grown up kids. They've been married for so long. So how would it be possible? It can't be done. They think like that. That's because they are neither connected to the mission work, neither do they understand how the twin flame ascension works. But once they go deeper into the ascension through the mission work, they'll automatically figure it out with time or whenever the divine timing is right for them. So when Parvati develops her inner light, it shines so brightly that Shiva cannot ignore it. In fact, he cannot focus on his meditation. He cannot do anything. He only thinks about Parvati. He only wants to be with Parvati. So the same person who had rejected her and even told her, please go away, don't disturb me. You are not that woman. My wife was Sati. It must have hurt Parvati a lot because she's trying to tell him, hey, I am the one. I am Sati. I am reborn. But she had not done her ascension work. Her inner work was still incomplete. So when the glow came out, when she glowed beautifully, and then Shiva could see it, and then he approached her, and then they got married, and then they got into divine union. So that's the reason why I've said that their story does not start with the birth of Parvati. It actually started with Sati, and then there was all of these phases. The runner-chaser dynamic also happened because she came and then he would run away. And then the long separation, and then this, and then this. So, as I said, the situation can be anything for you, because in case of Ram and Sita also, the situation was completely different. In case of Radha and Krishna also, the situation is very different. And especially in case of Radha and Krishna, because they were born in descending Dwapar, so they could not have gotten married any which way, because descending Dwapar is a time when the dark ages are about to take over. So their mission work was to remove as much darkness and as much negativity, give as many lessons they can while they're alive. That is why the whole Mahabharata got created, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita was created, so that people could have something to fall back on during the dark ages. So their physical union was impossible, but they had a union, a mental union, a 5D union, and that's why both Radha and Krishna could work on the mission specifically. And they also knew, because when you come into the 5D union, and let me tell you today through this particular session that the reason why you need to have a 5D union, because some of you will, after going through 5D union, will understand whether you're meant to have a 3D union or not. You could be here to live some curses, or you may be supposed to be with your twin flame in another format, like maybe as a friend, maybe as a confidante, maybe as an advisor, but not necessarily as a romantic partner. So you guys have to make that decision, or you have to get into that understanding, because once you have the 5D union, even though right now while I'm saying this and you're listening to this, it might just pinch your heart. What if I am the one who's not supposed to get a physical union? What if I am that person who's not supposed to get into a 3-dimensional union with my twin flame? Let me tell you, once you get into a 5D union, you won't care about it. Even for a second, it will not come to your mind, to your thoughts, that I have to get into a 3D union. You'll not think about it. You'll be in so much peace. You will be enjoying so much. Your mission work will completely consume you. And that mission work will give you so much unconditional love every single day. Let me tell you, every single day you will get unconditional love. It will be so beautiful. It will be so fulfilling. It will be so satisfying. And if there are any more triggers that you need to work on, any more dark areas, you'll be very gladly working on those black areas or dark areas. I said glad areas. Yeah, you'll turn the black areas into glad areas. So this is where I'm going to end this story here. The beautiful love story of Shiva and Parvati. The beautiful love story also of Shiva and Sati. How Shiva is able to see his inner beauty now, and how he cannot stay away from her, because this time they are in a permanent union, and that's why we pray to Shiva and Parvati. And their union also teaches us a major lesson, that we need to heal our sacral chakra, because sacral chakra is connected to our genitals, and once our genitals, we get that extra knowledge, that required knowledge. As of now, you just know that you're a woman and he's a man and they have this body part and this body part will do this. And this is the reason why, because people who don't have complete knowledge, people are involving themselves with so many different people, and it's all about, the pleasure or the addiction of coming together, and that's it, that whole feeling. But once you grow in the 5D world, even higher, you can go 5D, 6D, 7D. You'll go through so many pleasures, different kinds of blisses, which are more mental and which are more emotional, which are very subtle. Maybe epiphanies, every time you get an epiphany, or every time you get a download, every time you get a fulfilling signal, a message from the universe, from the universal domain, you will realize that, this is actual happiness and this is actual bliss. And you will not even be attached to it, because you'll realize that difficult situations or problems or hurdles, they will lead to more peace and one more lesson and one more step. So that is actually good for me. So you'll not be scared of the problems, but you'll be very nonchalant and very neutral. You'll actually be like, okay, let it come, let anything come, and I'll figure it out in the time, how to handle it and how to deal with it and what else I need to do. So Parvati did not, one more thing that I want to add over here is, this is specifically for all divine feminines, that Parvati did not raise her vibrations. She did not change her dimension, her mental dimension, by acting as Shiva's servant. When Shiva told her go away, she could have just stood there, or she could have waited outside for 1000 years and she could have just kept serving him and things like that. But she did not do that. One of the biggest mistake that a lot of divine feminines make in this journey is they think that by continuously calling this person, or by continuously, telling them how much you love them, by blatantly doing an admission of love or a confession of love, or thinking what is true love, like what true love is, things like that, or true love is like this, true love is like that. True love is not at all like that. And this is what Parvati has taught to all the divine feminines who are on the ascension journey, that you cannot get into the twin flame journey or the union by putting flowers or offering milk or doing all the rituals. No, you will only do it when you come in your own energies, come in your own true energies. You stand your own ground, you work on yourself, you figure things out, you hustle every day, you hustle every single day. And then you connect with your inner self, and then you see this beautiful bright light, this inner light source is in you, it flows through you. You understand it so well that you have all the resources within you. You have all that you need. Nothing is outside. She stopped needing Shiva after that. She never even once thought that I need him to be alive, or I need my relationship to be like this or like that, or I need this, or nothing whatsoever. She tried to focus on traveling to her heart center. She found her heart center within herself. She worked everything. She cleared all the blocks in her chakras, everything that was coming in the way of not her and Shiva, but of her and her independent nature, of her free nature. You are not free if you are somebody's jailer, or if you are in jail because of somebody else's love. You're not a free person if you're constantly begging for attention. You're not a free person if you're constantly daydreaming about someone and getting excited by a single nudge or a single notification or some one thing. No. You'll be very much practical. You'll be very much, like this is what I need to do. And you will be very, 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 very much mission oriented. And on that note, on this beautiful note, I'm going to be closing this story here, this session here. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I do hope that you'll all, make the most out of this story, and you will also focus into the twin flame journey, because you must have noticed that I have been sharing a lot of lessons lately, because I'm divinely guided to do that. These are the messages that are being sent to me, that now is the time for the divine feminines to focus on the lessons. And the more lessons she learns, the faster she will be in the position of being fully independent, natural, and obviously have her own 5D union and even ascend further. So thank you so much. And one love and peace out.